Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Well, Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is a lead generation specialist in non traditional referral generation, marketing, and promoting during a nagging recession will be our topic for today. No other than Mr. Mark Newsome. Welcome, Mr. Mark, on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
So first of all, Daniel, let me say thank you. It's an honor and a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me and allowing me to be one of your guests. Very simply, ladies and gentlemen, I help small business owners and service providers, the non-franchise ones, because the big boys and girls, they got big budgets, they don't need me. But I help the non-traditional mom and pop small business owner maximize their profits by not constantly writing checks. We just use other non-traditional assets and resources, and you make more money as a result.
Mr. Mark Newsome, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Mr. Mark, why do most successful companies often increase marketing spend during a recession while others cut back?
That's an excellent question, Daniel. I think personally, this is just my own personal opinion with the experience I've had and some of the coaches and mentors I've had who do very well, way better than I do. But I think the biggest issue, you hit on something, is they do everything in sort of a traditional linear mindset. And what I mean by that is if you have successful ads, that's great. You should be scaling them. That makes perfect sense. But what happens when your ads don't work so well? Do you just keep throwing money at them? This is what most small business owners do, Daniel. This
Mhm.
is why they get upside down. And when I say upside down, we're talking financially, meaning they got more going out than they got coming in. Well,
Yes.
what I think you got to do is test. And when you test, you will discover what works and what doesn't work. And it's a simple process of doubling and tripling down on what works and eliminating what doesn't work. Now, I know that sounds like super brain dead simple, Daniel, but that is really it in a nutshell. Most small business owners don't test. They don't know how to test. They don't know what they should be testing. That's where a guy like me comes in.
Yes. And thank you for that, Mr. Mark. So, what is the magic question?
Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you asked. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to try the magic question out on my host, Daniel. He has no idea what I'm going to say. I promise you this is not rehearsed. And we're going to see if this Mr. Marketing guy has the goods or not. Daniel, is it okay if I periodically refer you new business and customers and contacts?
Oh, yes, definitely. Go ahead.
Wow, that was a no-brainer. Ladies and gentlemen, do you hear that? This is why we call this the magic question. Now, this is the really important part, Daniel. As long as it doesn't take away from anything you're currently doing or will have going on in the not so distant future, are you okay with periodically returning the favor?
Yes, for sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard his words, but now let me translate. You heard what he said, but let me translate this so you get this. What Daniel is really saying is, Mark, not only do you get direct and indirect access to the contacts, the resources, and the other anything I have that's of value in my network, but the stuff I'm going to have tomorrow, next week, next month, next year that's 5 to 10 times better, you're going to get direct and indirect access to that too. That's why we call this the magic question. Now, let me preface this, ladies and gentlemen. You do not approach complete strangers with the magic question. No. This is your current vendors, employees, any and everybody in your personal and professional inner circle that you already have an established relationship with. You ask the magic question, and I guarantee you doors are going to open you didn't know were closed, and you're going to do more business for a whole lot less effort.
I like that magic question, Mr. Mark. Well said. Truly, truly empowering. Very well said and beautifully articulated. How should a marketing strategy fundamentally change when customers are anxious and spending cautiously?
That's an excellent question. Ladies and gentlemen, here's a powerful strategy that if you're not using it, you're being neglectful of your business. You're also being neglectful of your current, future customers and your prospects. Excuse me. Here's something we call, now, everybody has a different name for it, Daniel. I'm going to tell you, I'm kind of old school. We call it risk reversal. What are you saying, Mark? Let's say Daniel comes, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you see that picture? That's my blog. And there's a ton of information there. You need to go there if you're serious about lead generation, conversions, and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I digress. What I wanted to say then, let's say I make an offer through email to Daniel, and he's not sure. This is the first time he may be purchasing from me. So we're still kind of getting to know each other. But what I tell Daniel is, with his purchase, I'm gonna throw in either one or X number of bonuses. And even if he decides to ask for a refund, he can keep those bonuses, which in most cases they're going to be digital, right? So I mean, it's not like you're taking back inventory, but he's going to be allowed to keep these bonuses. And your bonuses, ladies and gentlemen, they need to be something that people would spend money on. So I say, Dan, you get these three bonuses worth X. If you decide in the 30 or 90-day window that I give you to check my product or service out, if you decide, hey, this really isn't for me, not only can you ask for your money back and get your full 100% refund, but I want you to keep those bonuses as my special gift just for giving my strategies or my product or my service a try. Risk reversal is powerful. Now, let me just throw this in, Daniel, because I can already hear some of the people. Yeah, but Mark, I don't have any bonuses. That's why you need to be partnering up with people like me and Daniel. Because do you not think that, let's say Daniel, his budget is $3,000 to generate a customer, because he has, ladies and gentlemen, after you get off here with us, I want you to go to Google or YouTube and put in what is lifetime customer value. So let's say Daniel knows his lifetime customer value of his ideal customer, it's going to be different for everybody, is $5,000 over 3 years. Well, if Daniel is spending $1,000 in paid ads, pay per click, Google search, and all this stuff, I mean, Google ads and all this other stuff, would he rather just invest $100 or $200 to generate that same customer by offering up one of his digital products or two of his digital products to me to ethically bribe my customers to do something? Of course he would. He just saved $800. And here's what you need to understand. I hope this math isn't too esoteric, ladies and gentlemen, but follow this. He could do the same gross amount of business, but if every customer, not everyone, let's say 40% of his customers now cost him $200 instead of 1,000, he's still making more money, isn't he? Because he's not investing that entire $1,000. And he has leeway. He could say, well, I'll put 600 in my pocket and do $200 with something else, maybe another partner. Man, this, if we had time, ladies and gentlemen, I promise you we could blow your mind. This is powerful. Your competitors don't see this. They think the only thing they can do with their money is run an ad. They're wrong. I promise you, they're dead wrong.
Mr. Mark, what do you mean when you suggest business owners and service providers stop treating their business like gloried one night stand?
Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is not as crass as it may seem on the surface. Now, you just think about the connotation of a one night stand, all the implications of that. This is what the average small business and service provider does that's struggling. And so it comes to an end right now, today. You spend all, Daniel, tell me if this sounds familiar. They spend all this money, effort, and time to finally generate a customer. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you're using the conventional stuff, this is what they'll tell you. Oh, Daniel, it's going to take between 7 and 21 touches to create a customer, right? Okay,
Yes.
follow this. You put in all that effort, money, and time, you got yourself a customer. More than likely, that first purchase, you're upside down, meaning you spent more to get the customer and they're actually going to invest with you. But here's what's more criminal. As soon as you get that customer, instead of you trying to increase the lifetime value of the customer on the back end, meaning get them to spend more money, you drop them and immediately chase another retail customer. That's why most small business owners struggle and eventually go broke. We say, well, what's the answer, Mark? Daniel, I'm guessing where you are in the world. There's a iconic fast food restaurant. We don't have to name them, but when you and I go in there or go through the drive-through, you say, "Can I have the strawberry shake and the quarter pounder with cheese?" And that 16 to 25-year-old cashier who didn't go to Harvard Business School, they automatically come back and say, "Would you like fries with that?" Now, ladies and gentlemen, what just happened? They got me and you to reach in our wallet, spend a little more money, and here's the key. They didn't have to go back on outrageously expensive local or national TV, local or national radio, billboards, newspapers to get us to do it. Right? They're putting money in their pocket. Now, Daniel, let's take this a step further. And ladies and gentlemen, this has nothing to do with selling hamburgers. The strategy is called an upsell, the technique. McDonald's is just one of the pioneers in the fast food restaurant business industry. They've taken this to a whole nother level. When you and I, and by the way, their statistics say between 10 and 40% of their daily foot traffic and people going through the drive-through, 10 to 40% who are asked that question. Would you like X? Because it have to be fries. It could be, would you like apple pie? Would you like, when they ask that question, Daniel, 10 to 40% of their customer base worldwide says yes, and then they take it a step further. They didn't rest on their laurels. You say, well, what's after that? They ask us a 2-word question. Supersize you? Bam. Just like that, their stock has gone up. Daniel's a stockholder. He's happy. The owners of the McDonald's are happy. And this is why the owners of the McDonald's and the Wendy's and the Burger King, this is why their kids go and graduate from the most prestigious universities on the planet. This is why they drive multiple expensive cars and live in multiple expensive houses. That 6-word phrase, would you like fries with that? Bam. And this has nothing to do with selling burgers, people. Okay? So the point is, when you upsell, and you got, ladies and gentlemen, you notice when you buy something on Amazon, they immediately hit us with say, hey, if you bought that, you might like this. That's a form of upsell, people. If you're not using upsells, you're leaving money on the table.
Very well said, Mr. Mike. Truly, truly inspiring. What's the biggest mindset shift marketers need to make to succeed in a recessionary environment?
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to use myself because I was guilty of this. You got to get out of your own way. What are you saying? If you need to hire a coach, a mentor, now I'm not talking about the gurus, these people way up here. Get a man or woman who is just enough ahead of you that they can help you get to that next level. Because if you rely on your own credit, your own knowledge, your own experience, it's not enough. It's just not. And I will promise you, there are some of you sitting out here right now saying, wow, I've never used upsells. This is the first time I've heard of this. That's why you got to get somebody who's a little further up the road who's already made the mistakes you and I are going to make if they don't uh, consult or mentor us, and let them help guide you. Daniel, I fought this, boys. I'm embarrassed to say it on your podcast, but I fought getting a coach for the longest. I thought, oh, I'll figure this out on my own. Yeah, eventually you might. But in the meantime, look at the opportunity lost. Stop doing that, ladies and gentlemen. If you need help, and again, you don't have to go get the outrageously expensive gurus. If Daniel is out of your price range right now, then find somebody underneath and keep going till you find that man or woman who you vibe with, but who you can financially afford, and you start implementing what they tell you, and you're going to start seeing the results you want.
And Mr. Mark, how can business owners avoid being victimized by social media?
Ooh, that is an awesome question, Daniel. I know probably a ton of your guests who've come on here talking about marketing and social media who've already beat this horse into the ground, but would be remiss, ladies and gentlemen, if I didn't share this with you. And I know Daniel shared it with you. Please understand this. Unless your last name is Zuckerberg or Hoffman, the guy who co-founded LinkedIn, you and I do not own these social media platforms. I like to say it like this, Daniel. Uh, Promoting and marketing and advertising on social media is like sleeping on your ex in-laws. Follow me now. Your ex in-laws couch. They may come home one day and say, Daniel, we love you, but guess what? You got to go. Now, when that happens, ladies and gentlemen, what's that going to leave you? All that effort you've been putting in, and I hate to say this, Jan, but I've noticed this with the millennials. You see my blog up here? People say, oh, blog is old school. Let me tell you something. I'm on LinkedIn. If they shut down my LinkedIn account tomorrow, I wouldn't like it, but I have a blog. I can still put my content up. I'm still building my own opt-in email list. And that's the other thing, ladies and gentlemen. Do not let anybody kid you. Email marketing is many things, but it's not dead. If you are not building your own opt-in email list and you're trying to market online, you're doing yourself a big disservice. Your Titanic is headed for an iceberg. It's social media is awesome. Don't rely 100% on it. You need your own opt-in email list.
Yes, for sure. Build your own email list and the blog itself. And Mr. Mark, what are your short term and long term goals as a marketing specialist?
Excellent question. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to help as many. I hate to use the word avatar because that's just so broad, but as many people within my sphere that I know could use my services, I want to help them. And that's the short term goal. The long term goal, Daniel, is I want to continue to grow as an entrepreneur. So that means meeting people like this gentleman, getting a chance to pick his brain a little bit before we got on here. And that's how you're going to grow, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot simply rely on your own resources. Like, for instance, you've all heard the word leverage. Daniel, do you happen to have where you are in the world? I don't know if you're a latte drinker or something, if you drink coffee, tea, whatever. Do you have a spot that you like to go to?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Let's say Daniel and I are sitting in his favorite spot. We're chopping it up. And he says, Mark, man, I would really love it if you came on my podcast and shared some of these ideas and strategies and concepts that we've been talking about. And I said, oh, Daniel, I'd love to. Ladies and gentlemen, do you see what just happened? We have gone from one to one to one to many. When you get in front of somebody else's audience, or if you get a guest blogging opportunity, same thing. You're writing your material, is published on somebody else's blog. They're exposing you to a whole new audience. That's called leverage. That's what you and I want. This is a golden opportunity. When this man reached out to me and asked me that I want to be a guest, are you kidding me? I would have tore the door down to come on this show. So the point is, you want to get leverage. Ladies and gentlemen, it's too hard to go. Like, imagine if you went door to door and you had to knock on 1,000 doors to find one person who was interested, or you could turn it around where 1,000 people got exposed to you, and the one person said, "Hey, I'm interested," and the other 999 weren't. You see how much more time effective that would be? That's why you want to use leverage. Leverage is very powerful. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, think about this. Just think about this. The average small business owner or service provider who's trying to use direct mail, because there's some people out there saying, "Oh, you should be using direct mail, blah, blah, blah." You got to pay for postage, typesetting. They mail it out. It takes 2 or 3 days. Some are going to come back because the addresses are no longer valid. Now you look at all that cost versus you got 5,000 people or more on your email list. You type up an email with your links in there and hit publish, and it goes out. Again, 4,999 don't even bother opening it, but that one person does. Ladies and gentlemen, you could test that subject line, send another email to the people who didn't open. Look how long it would take you to do that with direct mail. That's where the cost is eating you alive, and it's going to keep eating you alive. On the other hand, and I'll show you how sharp Daniel is as a marketer. Daniel says, "Hey, Mark, do you still have your 5,000 name email list?" And I said, "Oh, Daniel, we haven't spoken in a while, man. I got 7,500 people on the list now." And he's like, "Really? What kind of open rates are you having?" I said, "Oh, man, anywhere from 25 to 37%, just depending." Daniel, so I tell you what. He said, "Mark, are you interested in making any more money with less effort?" I'm like, yeah. He says, "I got a perfect offer for your audience. I want you to send out, I've already typed it out. I want you to send this out with the links in there. And for every dollar I get, I give you 25%. What? That's called leverage. So for those of you saying, "I don't have an email list," you don't have to have one to start out with, man. Go find somebody that's got a list that already has your ideal customer base and partner with them. Just think if you had 5 people doing that for you in your business or service. Are you kidding me? You would definitely make more money. So email is powerful, way more powerful than we got time to go into, ladies and gentlemen. But if you're curious about anything, start with a free drawing of some kind. Offer something sexy that, here's the key. If your customers wouldn't buy it, in my opinion, it's not a good enough carrot or lead magnet. That's the term we use. But the point is, let me say it like this, Daniel. I think all the guys, ladies, don't be offended, but I think the guys will get this. If I own a bar and I want to pack that bar with men, let the ladies come in and get a drink for free. That's how you pack that. That's called a lead magnet. You understand that? You got a bunch of good-looking women in the bar. You will have the guys. Don't worry about it. So the point, right, Daniel? So the
True.
point is, figure out something sexy that they would pay for and take one of your closeout items. I'm using, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking as if you're an offline business. This works online too, but I'm saying you're a retail appliance store, a computer store, a furniture store, a retail jewelry store. And by the way, those three, retail jewelry, retail appliance, retail furniture, if you're any one of those three and you want to blow up your business, please contact me. But I digress, Daniel. Pardon me, but that's the short answer. You build your email list with something sexy that people will say, "I would pay for that." You hang that out in front of them and you stick it in your store. So when your foot traffic comes through, they see it. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, if you can see my blog right there, youcanmarketonlinenow.com. Go to that blog. I got different categories. Read a few my blog posts on lead generation alone. And I'll make you this promise. If you read 3 to 5 of my blog posts on lead generation alone, not in the same day now, if you don't come up with 5 ideas, unique ideas that you can at least test, I'm not your guy. So I am willing to put my money where my mouth is. I'm banking you're going to find some stuff in there and say, wow, I could definitely do this. And think conceptually. What are you saying, Mark? Just because I said 8 plus 2 and Daniel said 7 plus 3 doesn't mean you can't do 15 minus 5. The concept is to get to 10. There's a ton of possibilities for you, ladies and gentlemen. I promise you.
Mr. Mark, good luck to your goals and looking forward for more success indeed. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be a marketing specialist like you?
Figure out what your audience sees. Ladies and gentlemen, this stuff isn't hard. What Daniel are doing, this is serving. You know what I mean? And here's why you test. You never jump to the conclusion, say, Daniel, I know what you want. No, you don't. You offer something. You say, Daniel, would you like this or would you like that? And you let him choose. Maybe he doesn't want either one, but you give him a choice. That's called testing, A/B split testing. So if you want to, in fact, Daniel, is it okay if I share a simple strategy with your audience of people who don't have a business, don't have a product, don't have a service, and they want to know how they could make money using some of the strategies we're talking about?
Definitely. And thank you for
Okay.
that, Mr. Mark. Thank you for
Follow
that
this.
advice.
Let's say Daniel owns a men's barbershop. And ladies, just like in the hair salon and the nail salon, you won't believe the stuff we're talking about when you guys aren't around. Okay. Trust me. We cover it all. We talk about women, sports, politics, women, sports, politics, everything you can think. Here's my point. Let's say Daniel's got a barbershop and I have a retail appliance store. We're in a little strip mall. There's 7 suites, 5 are occupied, 2 have been, because of the recession, they're gone. So those spaces are empty. So I come in, Daniel cuts my hair, and we chop it up. All the stuff I said we talk about. Now follow this. I said, Daniel, would you be interested in saving some money on your lease? Daniel says, of course, man. What are you talking about? Now, first of all, think about that. Who comes in and asks him that? Nobody. So I'll tell you what I'll do, man. I got these cards, 2 sides. Side A tells the recipient, meaning whoever he gives it out to, his customers come in, and his other stylists. If they want to participate in this, they can. I say, Daniel, side A tells them to enter my free drawing to win a $7,500 or $10,000 home entertainment deluxe system, whatever that entails. Now, remember, that's not my hard cost. That's my retail value. My hard cost is half. So if it's 10,000, it's 5,000 hard cost. If it's, let's use 7,000, so 7, I don't have to do the math, but if it's 7,000, it's only 3,500. And I say, now on side B, it says, dear friend, because you, and this, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't etched in stone. I'm just trying to give you the concept here before we run out of time. Dear friend, exclamation point. Because you are a valued customer of Daniel's Barbershop, in other words, you customize it, whatever business you're doing this with, please come to my store. And Daniel writes his name, which is referred by, he prints his name, Daniel Lucas. Then he has to put a date, ladies and gentlemen. It cannot be further out than 3 days from the day he gives it to him. So whatever day he gives it to him, it has to have this date. And it's 72 hours. Now, here's the point. It says, come along, and you can save 10% off up to $100. And that's not very sexy. It's not supposed to be. And it says, however, simply for dragging a friend who's at least 18 before the expiration date, you can save 40% off or X, up to $2,000 or X. Now, here's the point. I say, Daniel, every time one of these gets redeemed and it has your name on it, the first 10, I give you $50. Not for passing them out. They come into the store and buy something. It does not matter what they buy. They spend money, you're getting $50. From the 11th sale on, I double it, $100. And Daniel says, wait a second. I do 10 heads a day. If I pass out 10 a day, 6 days a week, that's 60 people a week times 4, a 4-week month. That's 240 people. If the retention rate or redemption rate, pardon me, is only 20%, 2 out of the 10. It'll probably be higher, but 2 out of the 10. Once I get to that 11th sale, I'm making 100 times 20. I just paid his lease, didn't I? And I said, Daniel, any of your stylists that want in on this, they can do it. And I tell a stylist, I say, every time you lead the pack for that week, I will pay your chair rental to Daniel. You're like, what? Now, why would I do this? I don't want to go on radio and television and newspaper and billboards. That's a waste of my money. I'd rather pay these guys to perform. Now, at some point, Daniel realizes, wow, I could take these things with me everywhere I go. Yeah, you sure could. And to sweeten the pot, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy him a state of the art. Well, actually, since I'm the appliance dealer, I don't have to buy it, but I'm going to give him, say on a closeout, a state of the art barbecue pit. And I'm going to give him a 75-inch flat screen TV that he gets at cost. Or I say, if you, the next 10 customers you send me, I'll give you the flat screen TV. Because when he's rocking the Super Bowl and I call him up and say, hey, Daniel, what do you like on your pizza, man? And he tells me, I say, okay, you got 5 pizzas coming your way, man, and sodas. You guys provide your own booths, but I'll do that. Now, why would I do that? He can't eat 5 pizzas by himself, can he? No. He's going to call up some friends. He's going to call up his crew. And when they're sitting there eating the pizza and the wings and arguing about the game, somebody's going to say, Daniel, man, where do you get this rocking 75-inch flat screen TV? And then what is Daniel going to do? He's going to whip out his cards, put the date on it, and say, you know that guy that's 2 stories down at the strip mall, Mark's appliance, him. They're going to take it to their job and on and on and on. And before you know it, ladies and gentlemen, this works with jewelry. This works with furniture. This works with what we're talking about right here, appliances. The point is, I can show Daniel how he can stop paying for his lease if he wants to, or pay part of it. Put the other part in his pocket. Put it toward his mortgage. Put it toward his car. Whatever he wants to do. Put it in crypto. I don't care. The point is, who else is helping him grow his business and decrease his costs? Nobody. You got an opening. Don't approach some business you've never done business with. You got a friend that's in retail? Put this concept on, meaning you do it with them. Go to your job at first. You pass out these things. Maybe he can't pay you 50 in the beginning, pay you 25. Once you prove yourself, just like an athlete, say, okay, now it's time for you to pay me a little bit more money. And you don't have to do it just with one. It's unlimited. So I had to put that out there, Daniel, because this is a recession-proof way for you to put money in your pocket, help a business grow, and incentivize customers to not only come to your business, but to drag a friend, just like when McDonald's says, would you like fries with that? They don't get everybody. They don't have to get everybody. That one 6-word phrase puts tens of billions of dollars in their pocket every year.
Very well said, Mr. Mark, and thank you for that advice. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Ladies and gentlemen, he asked me this question, and the one I'm going to recommend is called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. Because let's be honest, what's going on between our left and our right ear is going to determine our success or failure, regardless of what's going on out there. And I think it was, don't misquote me, but here's a fabulous quote, ladies and gentlemen, that I heard. I want to say it's Emerson, but to be honest, Daniel, I don't remember. Somebody in the audience may know. But here's what the quote says. What lies before us and what lies behind us is insignificant to what lies within us. So this is sort of what James Allen is talking about in As a Man Thinketh. Because if you're sitting here saying, oh, that won't work, guess what? It ain't going to work. If you're saying, I could do this on some level, you can do it on some level. So as a man thinketh, and ladies, that means you too. Now we're not being sexist here, right, Daniel? As a man thinketh, so is he. Opportunity is out here, people. Take your blinders off and get to work. You got people you can service, and there's big money in service. Daniel and I, we can attest to that. Right, Daniel?
Yes, indeed. Totally true. So, Mr. Mark, thank you for that recommended book. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in third season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in its fourth season, as well as my movie 101 review and music 101, and my science 101 and sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Mark,
How do you
how
have time for all this, man?
yes. How do you market with empathy and authenticity without recording or resorting to fear based messaging?
I think you just be authentic, ladies and gentlemen. If you can help somebody, help them. Don't try to sell, serve.
Yes, for sure. Mr. Mark Newsome, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world.
My pleasure, my friend.
Yes, so can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Ladies and gentlemen, there's my blog, UYOU, canmarketonlinenow.com. Don't skip any spaces. You also can go to LinkedIn, Mark Newsome. When you see that mug up there, then you know you got the right guy. I invite you to drop by my house any and every time. You can reach out to me with questions, and I will do my best to help you, not sell you. But I am open for business, and I'm always looking for customers and clients.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Mark Newsome because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy to come, more and more empowering coaching to come, and for sure, more and more empowering business to come. So, Mr. Mark, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure, my friend. Thank you for inviting me.
More to come, people. See you soon.